news and information you need from the people making a difference. This is Comcast Newsmakers.
Going green. And how does that make sense, especially if we talk about this green? Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Joe Basicchia. This is Comcast Newsmakers. This hour's newsmaker is the Honorable Mike Halfacre, the mayor of the borough of Fairhaven. Let's talk about the purchase of hybrid vehicles in his town, but also thinking every way when we can be green. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
It's a great buzzword right now, going green, and of course that all
is.
makes sense if we want to see our trees last, and of course that's all great altruistic. But what about the old greenback?
Well, the hybrid vehicles is the easy one. It frankly is the no-brainer. We have to buy cars anyway. We're buying a police hybrid and a public works hybrid. Our police cars put hundreds of thousands of miles on them. They get old rather quickly. We have to buy new police cars. So we look at alternatives to save some money. And the hybrid vehicle may be slightly more expensive than a new Caprice Classic or whatever the standard police car is. But the fact of the matter is, right now, for going green, because it's so popular, there's grant money available to defray the cost of the hybrid. So the actual startup costs go down. And the gas money, it uses half the gas of a regular police car. So that cuts our gas budget in half, and that's what we have an obligation to our taxpayers to do.
You mentioned in the past how it's important to be deliberative when you're thinking about what is good for the town. You have to think it over. You could just think go green. Okay, that necessarily is a good thing, but maybe not necessarily pocket-wise. Is it step by step? Is that the best way of looking at it?
We have to, and I hate to sound like a bureaucrat, but we do have to study these things. Going green with a police vehicle is not the same as, putting in different light bulbs. The police have very large concerns. Those cars run for 8 hours at a time without ever shutting off. They run hot. They have large engines. They have to have a lot of battery power to run their lights, and they have to get up to high speed occasionally. They have to get up to high speed fairly rapidly. And the holdback on the hybrid vehicles is there's also a lack of power. I don't know if you've ever driven a hybrid car, but there's definitely a difference in the way they perform. So the police had some concerns. We sent our chief. There's actually a borough in North Jersey, Westwood, I believe, that has bought hybrid police vehicles. They were the first in the state. And we sent our police chief and another officer up there. They looked at it. They came back and said it could work. So we studied it. We're out to bid for it. We hope to have them in service by the end of the year.
Are you ready to look at that for every other decision? Maybe it is those light bulbs. If you could see that they make sense financially, maybe you don't have to buy light bulbs for another 5 years. Is that, I guess financially is always going to be part of the equation, isn't it?
It has to be. We, again, have an obligation to our taxpayers to save money over the long term, but startup costs are also important. For example, we're looking at solar panels on our borough hall. Everyone would love that idea. Everyone does love that idea, but they're expensive to put in. So we're looking at what grants are available to defray the upfront costs, put the panels on the roof of our borough hall, and then run borough hall off solar energy.
Many towns up and down the entire state have seen the loss of power in the sense of their shade tree commissions. Planting trees, you have a beautiful town as it is, but how important is it to treat the trees as an important process of going green?
Trees, Fairhaven's a tree city. We've been a tree city designee for many years. We do have a very active shade tree commission, and we recently passed a tree ordinance requiring certain things to be done before trees were cut down. That was driven more by overdevelopment, frankly. But it's nice to have trees. There's a section of Fairhaven called River Oaks, and the joke is there's no oaks left in River Oaks. So trees are important. They provide shade in the summer. They keep it cool, and they're something we have to do is protect the trees.
It's amazing when you think about going green. It does encompass so much. You're mentioning trees, and of course that is just the sense of oxygen, and of course what it means for energy, cooling things down. But it's just one of the elements of so many things for going green. Developers, if they're going to come in and redevelop, it has to a sense of green. What I'm getting at is how important is it that you have a master plan and it's thought of in a green way as well?
Our planning board is very observant of those types of issues. They're very on top of that, and they do look at developers and what they want to do to property. We also have an environmental commission, which is required, and they all work together. So we have a cohesive idea of what we want to do, but we've got to shove that bureaucracy aside to get it done.
And of course, there's the good public paying the green when they pay their taxes.
And hopefully they're happy. We are in Fairhaven have been lucky. We've been thinking outside the box, and we lowered our taxes this year. We're one of the few towns, I think, in the state of New Jersey, especially small towns, that lost over $130,000 in state aid, and we lowered our tax rate.
Always good to see you, Mayor.
Good to see you.
Mayor Mike Halfacre of the borough of Fairhaven. I'm Joe Basicchia. This has been Comcast Newsmakers, seen exclusively here on Comcast Cable. Thank you so much for watching.